We don't want to do the same thing. We want to burst through our ceiling. You're gonna find another ceiling, and you gotta bust through that one, and you just gotta keep hammering ceilings.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna ask you to stop talking. Do the same thing as last time. Everyone's happy.
Would you mind introducing yourself for the mic?
My name is Thomas Banks. I'm 25. I'm from England, and Adrian's interviewing me because I've lived in Asia for a couple of years.
So, Tom, you might recognize from the blog as the singer of Disgusted, who've been on the blog a few times, Malaysia for a little while, and so I snagged him, try to get him on the mic so we can put a podcast together. Just kind of do an overview of the Southeast Asian scene. Tom has an interesting perspective, being a foreigner who's lived in Southeast Asia for the last couple of years and actually been in a band in Southeast Asia and done some touring, played Singapore Death Fest and played Malaysia. So kind of interested in getting his perspective and his feelings on the Southeast Asian scene and see what we can learn from that. So we met, I believe, 2012. Does that sound right?
Yes, 2012.
That's when Disgusted played Rumapi just before you guys played Singapore Death Fest. Let's start. Well, let's start with you. How did you end up coming to Southeast Asia?
How did I end up coming to Southeast Asia? Basically, I was living in the UK. My living situation, I was tired of it. There was some stuff that I wasn't happy with, and in a very short time, I went from having a house with my girlfriend and a job to breaking up with my girlfriend, not having any money, not being able to pay for my house, and being in kind of a bad way. So I applied for an awful lot of jobs one day on the internet, and then the next day I got a call from my boss, future boss. He gave me an interview there and then, and he said, if you can make it to Vietnam in 9 days, we'll give you a job. And that was good because I didn't have time to really debate over where I wanted to go and get nervous about it. I just had to up and go. So it was pretty disorienting at first, but it was either live with my parents and get a shitty job in a supermarket or fly to Vietnam. Actually, I did get a little nervous about it, and one of my friends had been to Asia a couple of months before that, so I called him and I said, what do I do? Like, this is a great opportunity, but I'm kind of nervous. And he said, if you don't take this opportunity, you're going to be living with your parents in your old childhood room. It's going to be winter, you'll be raining, you'll be cold, you'll be miserable, and you'll think, fuck, why didn't I go to Asia? So, thank you for that advice, I'm stoked.
Was his boss based in Vietnam at the time?
Yeah, he called me from Vietnam, and he said, is that Thomas? And I was like, yeah. This was like 7 a.m. And he said, I'm calling from Vietnam, and my first response was, what? He repeated it, and then my second question was, what time is it? Because I was still waking up, and I can't really remember the interview he gave me because it was so early, and he needed people in that job fast, so I kind of got fast-tracked here, but the best decision I ever made, I think.
Had you been to Asia before?
Once, yeah, like when I was at college, me and my friend went to Thailand for a little while, but it was just kind of a holiday, really. We didn't do any serious thing. We drank a lot of beers and went to the waterfall, and that was about it.
What did you know about Vietnam at the time?
Nothing. Really not. I knew it was a country that people often didn't go to when they did the kind of Thailand, Laos sort of circuit, which is quite popular with English young people. Literally nothing. I knew I knew the history of Vietnam, like the Vietnam War and stuff, but in terms of the economy and stuff, I'd never given it a thought before. And even when I was applying, I didn't specifically apply to Vietnam. Like I said, I just hit instant apply for probably about 25 different countries, and that was the one that caught me up.
How apprehensive were you about flying to this foreign country?
Like I didn't really have that much time to be apprehensive because I had to sort everything out pretty quickly. I had to get my flights, I had to pack, had to figure out what I was doing. But I think when I was waiting for the plane, I was looking at the plane. On the one hand, I was a little nervous. You know, I was kind of like, oh my god, what am I doing? But I think that's a really good feeling to have. And on the other hand, I was really excited because I was pretty sick of the life that I'd been living in England. So I knew that whatever was coming up was going to be totally different, and that was probably a good thing. And if you don't like it, you can always come back. So
that's a long ass flight from the UK to Southeast Asia. So I'm sure whatever thoughts were percolating in your head were.
Oh, I mean, I got off the plane and I got in. It was a really disorganized school, university, and nobody from my job came to pick me up. They just said, get a taxi here. So I kind of got off in Vietnam and thought, where the fuck am I? Stumbled into a taxi, he drove down the road, and it was really just like normal, everyday kind of Vietnamese life. It was dark, and there were like people eating at the side of the road, and there were some lights and shop windows and stuff. It was like the craziest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, I'm going to have to live in this country. Where am I? What's going on? Nobody speaks English. But it was cool.
Yeah, that is something we should stress, which is, as you go through Southeast Asia, what I recommend most tourists do is start in somewhere like Kuala Lumpur or Singapore, where they speak a lot of English, and make your way up the peninsula into what used to be called Indochina, where they speak less English.
Yeah.
So at least you get accustomed to kind of how things work.
Yeah.
You sort of just kind of jumped in at the deep end.
Yeah, well, that's why there's so much work over there. First, I'd like to state for the record, I'm an English teacher, but I'm not somebody who expects other people to speak English. If people speak English, obviously I'm made up, because then we can have a conversation. But if I'm going to go, and I think it's the kind of height of ignorance to go to someone else's country and start complaining they don't speak your language, because why should they? Like, they didn't invite you there. You should speak their language. But obviously with kind of Vietnamese and Thai and Laotian, that people only speak those inside the country, so it's not very widely spoken. And my Vietnamese friends can tell you that my Vietnamese language skill is terrible. I'm really bad at it.
So I'm assuming most of the people that you run into in Vietnam don't speak any English.
In the city, so I was in Ho Chi Minh, Saigon, very close to there. In the city, English is very widespread, and there's an awful lot of work there. The economy it's slowed down a bit now, but a couple of years ago it was exploding, and everybody wanted to learn English. Vietnamese are very studious. You know, they're great students. They work really hard, but I guess once you kind of get outside the cities and go to small towns and places like that, then it's not so widespread. So if you know like a smattering of Vietnamese, they really appreciate it, and it helps you get by, kind of survival level.
You want to give us some key phrases that'll help us get through Vietnam? Maybe just from the airport to our hotels.
Hai beer, 2 beers, and what else? DD, go now. I don't know. Get in touch with the guys from Disgusted and make them do everything for you. That's what I used to do. Get some Vietnamese friends and a mobile phone.
kind of music scene did you experience when you first got to Vietnam?
None.
None, absolutely none.
Absolutely none. That was the thing that I missed most, because I have friends that are into heavy music, and I also have lots of friends who aren't into heavy music, but I've never had a complete absence of music before. And initially, like, Vietnam was great. I could try the food, could meet the people. It was really incredible for the first month or two. And then after a while, when I got into the pattern of, normal working life, like 9 to 5, 5 days a week. And at the weekends, like, all we kind of do is go to the bar or drive a motorbike round. I don't like football, I don't like sports, I'm not competitive, so my friends were great, but I really felt it was really noticeable that there was no music around. So I knew there was one grind band in Vietnam called Wu, who have links with Disgusted, like they share some members.
How did you find out about Ru?
I think I typed in Vietnam grindcore onto Google. Not something as simple as that.
This may come off as a very ignorant question, and I apologize, but how easy is it to get internet in Vietnam?
Internet?
Yeah.
It's good. Almost everybody has the internet. They're very technologically they're good.
Okay. It's not like China where the internet is censored and it's hard to...
I see. There was a phase where the Vietnamese government were going to block Facebook, but Vietnamese people are ingenious. Like, there is no, if they want to go on Facebook, they're going to go on Facebook. They're going to find a way to do it. Like, they don't let stuff stand in the way like that. So all I did was I messaged the guys from Wu, and I was like, hey, what's up? I just moved here. Let's go for coffee sometimes. And then Trung, who the guitarist from Disgusted, messaged me. He was like, yeah, sure, come hang out with us. And then two weeks later, that was it. We were jamming and screaming and shouting and stuff. So it wasn't till I made those friends that I was really happy in Vietnam. And then just a process of meeting people, like friends of friends and stuff. And then my friendship network I remember after my first Disgusted practice, I hadn't really spoken to that many Vietnamese people besides my students and my co-workers. Hadn't made a lot of close friends. And we were sat outside a restaurant, and I was eating some rice or some noodles, and Trung was there, Huang was there, my bass player, and then there were all these other guys, and they were wearing Dying Fetus shirts, and one guy had a Mayhem shirt, and I was kind of thought, okay, now I feel good about this, now I feel at home.
So, you moved to Vietnam in September of 2011.
Yes.
How many months had passed before you ran into the Disgusted and the Moon guys?
Maybe 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so are we still at the end of 2011, beginning of 2012?
It would be start of 2012,
Okay.
I think.
And after that, how long before they asked you to join the band?
Really quickly, actually. They needed, because Trung was doing guitar and vocals, so he wanted someone to take over vocal duties so he could concentrate on his playing. And it's a very small scene in Vietnam. And he said, when he sent me the message, I think my profile picture on Facebook was me wearing some grindcore shirt or something. He was like, oh my goodness, there's sort of a new person in the country who's really into metal. Let's get him over and get him involved. So another reason why metal's awesome. It makes lots of friends.
So the metal scene in Vietnam, I'm assuming, is very close-knit and very small.
Yeah, very small. Most people know. Most people, very, very small. I can't emphasize they don't have a great deal of shows. You're talking one a month maximum if you're lucky, but they're very, very passionate because the scene's so small. If you get a foreign band goes over there or something, you type it on the internet, watch a video, they go, the Vietnamese crowd go crazy. They really, really get into it. They don't have the kind of jaded, I've seen this before, it's not as good as this XYZ band. They're very, very positive and optimistic about their music, which is, for me, one of the nicest things about the Vietnamese scene.
When I saw you guys at Singapore Death Fest, there was a little bit of that jaded feeling that you get with places that get regular shows where a lot of people would show up and support their friends' bands, the local bands, and leave, right after their bands played. And I remember talking to your bassist Huang, who was saying, in Vietnam, you stay for every band.
Oh yeah,
Support
you
everything.
stay for every band, and then everybody goes out and smokes some cigarettes together, and then goes straight back in for the next band. Yeah, everyone's kind of got their arms around each other and headbanging, and like they really go for it. But you know that's a positive thing, and one of the negative things is that we don't have that many shows, and like maybe you might say that Singapore is a little bit jaded, which would be negative, but then the upshot is because people have so many fantastic bands coming through all the time. So
Yeah, if you have like Vader and Origin and Suffocation coming through your town, then most likely you're going to be pretty jaded about it.
yeah, most likely you're not going to be impressed with the Vietnamese guys.
Well, which isn't to say that Disgusted weren't fantastic, because they were. But it's one of those things where I think kids don't really appreciate what they have until they don't have it.
Well, yeah, and also like, I mean, Disgusted was my first time doing vocals, and the drummer, Mun, like he was excellent drummer, really, really good. But it was his first metal band as well. But I think what we lacked in technicality, especially those guys, they really Huang. They're all excellent musicians, and the other two guys have been in lots of bands. But the nicest thing for me about Disgusted was how determined everyone was. It's like in Vietnam, like just to be able to make this music it's a much bigger deal to make metal music in Vietnam than it is in most other countries I've been to, because even in Indonesia, people know what metal is. And like a couple of, at the university, a couple of students got hold of some Disgusted videos and saw what we've been doing, and they were just like, teacher, like, what is this? Like, they just did not understand. I don't know if it's like a Buddhist thing, like with the society where you're not supposed to show extremes of emotion, which obviously metal's all about. But death metal in Vietnam is a way bigger deal than death metal in the UK.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even here, some of my friends who are not involved in the local scene are, I think, fascinated, except not in a positive way, with like the whole like death metal aspect of my lifestyle, where they just can't get over like the imagery and the type of music, and it's like almost this feeling of like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Recently, when I was in London, I was hanging out with a friend of a friend a lot, and she wasn't into music at all, really. She maybe put the radio on in the morning and stuff. Like for her, like the other things in life she was passionate about, but most of my friends have always like been very passionate about one form of music or another. Even guys that aren't into metal, like everyone's got like their kind of favorite songs that they like. And until the contrast was there, I was like, this is a huge part of my life. Like if I can't talk about metal in gigs and stuff like this, I'm sort of at a dearth as to what to talk about sometimes.
Decision, put the trigger. To set your will on this spell. Bring on us.
I don't know if it's possible for you to quantify the scene in Vietnam, but are we talking a couple hundred kids, maybe less than 100?
And more than 100. So the biggest metal show we ever had was Saigon Death Fest, and that was 2012. And that was the first like big metal festival ever. It was all day. We had Hydrophobia from Japan. We had Down from the Wound from Philippines, who were phenomenal. Gotsu Totsukotsu, another excellent Japanese band. So we had international bands. We had like we had all, like basically all the death metal bands in Vietnam. And it was all one day, and like some guys flew from Hanoi down to Saigon just to watch the show, and that's like 2,000 kilometers or something ridiculous. It's really, really far. That's how badly they wanted to see the show. And there were maybe like 300 people there. So times that maybe by 2 for people that didn't come for whatever, probably about 500, 600 people, I'd say, to metal.
Are you saying in the whole country or in Saigon?
Probably. Well, I can't speak for the whole country, because I know like, there's lots of other cities, but my bass player, Huang, he was really into metal, and he moved down to Saigon because there was no scene there, and lots of people kind of emigrate, especially to Saigon, because that's where the music scene is, especially for like extreme music. I know in Hanoi they have a very interesting music scene as well. Like I've got a friend up there who like they have noise shows and things like that. But yeah, extreme metal scene, or just any metal scene, is pretty small. There's a lot of there's kind of like a hard rock scene. There's lots of bars where you can watch like a guitar band, but it's pretty family friendly stuff. You know, the real nasty, real good nasty stuff, there's 500 or 600 people, I'd say.
I'm curious how people find out about death metal and grindcore and stuff like that in Vietnam.
You'd have to ask them. Like, but they're huge. They're hugely knowledgeable about it. Like, if you meet a Vietnamese person that's into metal, like they're gonna. It's not particularly fashionable, you know, which is nice. So like guys that get into it really have a genuinely strong interest in it. So then chances are they're gonna brush up on things. Probably, I'd imagine with the advent of the internet and stuff, spread of ideas, probably through that.
Did the Disgusted guys ever tell you like how they got into the music?
Not really, no. But I mean, Huang and Trung, they've kind of been into it since the same as me, since they were kids, really. So I'm not quite sure what the band-to-band process of it was.
Yeah.
And then they got into it since they were kids, and then they moved to the city and they're both from quite small towns, so they moved to the city. So like jamming with like-minded people, and then how our drummer got into it. I think they just kind of like word of mouth, like, we need a drummer, can you help us find it? And the drummer was into XYZ, he was into some rock, and they played him some metal, and he was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. So just real enthusiasm, which is nice.
Okay. I mean, I'm thinking more of almost my own background, where I was growing up in the Philippines, and it was almost like if I didn't meet that one guy, or if I hadn't gone to like the weird import store that one day where they happened to have a death metal CD in the racks, like I may have never like discovered any of this stuff. You know, so, and even in the Philippines where there, you know, there are record stores everywhere, you know, you see kids with metal shirts everywhere you go, like it was still fairly hard to find like the really, like not even like that underground stuff, like stuff like Napalm Death and Carcass and stuff like that. You really had to be knowledgeable or willing to dig. So
I mean, Vietnamese crowd is dedicated. I mean, just trying to get CDs sent to Vietnam is so difficult. Like the government, they open all the packages. If they don't like your CD, you're not gonna get it. If they like the look of the CD and they want to keep it, they're gonna keep it. And Wormrot played there once actually, and they had to bribe the guy at the airport with a Wormrot CD, I think. So I don't know if maybe he's a Wormrot fan now, but there's not really any record shops or places where you can get like hard goods like records and t-shirts and things are quite hard to come by.
How do the kids get them? Are there a lot of bootlegs?
No, they're not really into bootlegs. They like real stuff. They like the authentic stuff. I'm really not sure how they get them, but they for hard work, like they get it.
Yeah.
I think recently it's got better. I know a guy in Hanoi who's got like a big brutal death metal like selection, and I think he just like knows the right company and he's got the right address to send it to. But it's difficult to get hold of. So it's another obstacle to metal becoming really popular in Vietnam, because it's just the postal service works against them. Like nobody knows what metal is. There's no metal on the radio. Like I think I saw a guy with an Avenged Sevenfold t-shirt once, but it's very underground, much more than almost every other country I've been to. Like Vietnamese metal is very underground. I had a friend a couple of years ago who went over there traveling long time before I did, and I said, you know, did you see any bands when you were there? He was like, nah. He's like, there's no metal scene in Vietnam. It's invisible, really. So.
Yeah, it's almost a more extreme version of what a lot of the other countries in Southeast Asia go through, which is our friends run the Tanjung store at Rumapi, and you know they have to import a lot of stuff, and the import prices are high. And again, if you know the government doesn't like what's coming through, they might stop it.
Yeah, I heard it's difficult to get a Cannibal Corpse shirt sent to you in Malaysia.
And so it's probably like just really dedicated kids, and you know if the one guy gets it, then you know maybe he spreads it through his friends and stuff like that. Did you get a sense of how much government control and government restriction there was on the music? Like, well, can you just play a show?
No. Oh my goodness, this is a good question. Another obstacle to Vietnam is it's so frustratingly difficult to organize a show. For example, you have to book a bar, and the bar costs $1,000. $1,000 for one show. So nobody's going to front that kind of money. So normally, like, I remember when Trung was organising it, he could have sponsored. So it'd be sponsored by San Miguel or Red Rock Beer or whichever beer company was willing to, you know, front music events at that time. So already you've got bureaucracy for renting the room. Then you have to find your sponsor. Then you have to often you need to get a permit as well from the police. So the police have to say, okay, you can do this. But with Saigon Death Fest, when we put that on, everything was running very, very well until they released the poster. And on the poster, it had flags of hydrophobia and Down from the Wound. So they saw that there were foreign bands playing. So I think the authorities realized that this was a step up, and we had to pay a bribe. It was like $1,000. It was like another $1,000. And you know, salaries aren't very high in Vietnam. It's a tremendous amount of money. It's not. When those guys came to Malaysia and when we went to Rumah Api, like they were blown away by Rumah. They thought it was the coolest thing ever, and it is, because you can just go plug in your guitar, hit the drums, and you can play, and people can march, and everyone can go home. And you've got people living there. You can watch a film there. It's like a really, really good thing, and that doesn't exist in Vietnam. That's actually the bass player. After he came, said that was one of his ambitions in life was to try and start up a space like that for Vietnamese kids. And again, it's just all these factors that add together, which makes it's not easy to play metal in Vietnam. So they really have a lot of determination. So, there's not a lot of Vietnamese bands, and I think if you listen to them and you think, well, maybe this isn't completely up my street, that's fine, but they really, really care about the music. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, it's almost 1,000 times harder for that band to get to that point than it is for bands like almost anywhere else in the world to be like whatever band they are right now. Yeah. I'm curious what form the government restrictions take. Like, does a guy come and say, listen, you can't play the show because, and then kind of has his hand out? Or is it like, oh, this is against communism, or this is against Vietnam? Like, in Malaysia, we have a lot of these restrictions where it comes down to, this is anti-Islam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's the excuse that they give for shutting down shows or things like that.
They will find any excuse. I mean, I think Trung said with Saigon Death Fest, they even came to him and they were like, why is it called Death Fest? What are you going to do? Is everyone going to kill each other? They were like, we don't think this is a good idea. We kind of like, they don't involve Vietnam's secular, so they don't invoke religion, but it's a one-party authoritarian state, so if the man says pay, you pay or you don't play. And he's going to dress up that pay thing one way or another. He's going to say it's too loud, you don't have this, you don't have that. The money has to go under the table, or you don't play.
I mean, in fairness, even Singapore Death Fest has been having problems with Trump Death Fest. And one of the reasons why Piaz hasn't done a Death Fest recently is because whatever authority it was that's been giving him problems is like, well, why can't you just call it Rock Fest? You know what I mean?
Yeah, who wants to go to Singapore Rock Fest?
Right,
Not me. Singapore Death Fest, definitely. Singapore Rock Fest, we've got Brian Adams playing there or something.
But it is like, just to give, I think we take things for granted like Hellfest or Mountain Death Fest or whatever. And in this part of the world, it does push a lot of buttons. anybody who's curious about what we're talking about as far as the government restrictions, there is a fairly popular video on YouTube of Wormrot from Singapore having to audition to play, I think it was Saigon Death Fest, I'm not sure, but it was one of the shows in Vietnam.
That was before. That was a couple of months before I arrived. Actually, I heard they played Vietnam.
And so they basically played their songs at about half the speed and then put the vocals. And then you see like some kind of local authority just sort of like standing with his hands on his hips and not really sure.
Yeah,
not really sure what to make of it.
I don't know much about that Wormrot show because the guy that I've never met the guy that organised it before. But apparently it was very strange. Like they had bodyguards like on the stage, so you couldn't get on stage because the security guards would take you off. Yeah, and they had to audition and get the appropriate permit. Yeah, it was.
Do kids in Vietnam mosh? Yeah.
They mosh hard. They so my first ever show that I went to in Vietnam was the first one we played with Disgusted, and all the kids kind of. There was a band called Psycho Metal playing, who were a pretty good band. They're kind of straight up metal. They did like some Iron Maiden covers and things like that, and there was lots of kind of head banging and hands in the air, and they were getting into it like that, and then. With Disgusted, we tried to make it a bit more aggressive. So I kind of went down into the audience, started pushing everybody, and these kids were like, whoa! And then immediately, like, this huge pylon, and all these, they were just going nuts. They were like, yeah, let's mosh. And they moshed the shit out of the place. It was so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you see a big difference in the scenes, culturally?
That's quite a broad question. In what, can you...
I'm all about, like, stereotypes and broad generalizations.
Oh, we can stereotype and broad generalize. In Malaysia, at the shows, people will drink less and smoke more cigarettes. It would be one of the main episodes. And people...
You do not need a smoke machine at Rumapi.
No.
Because all you need is like 15 minutes of these kids like smoking, and then it's like a fucking like 80s disco. So,
so culturally, that I'll start obviously kind of from Europe. Coming over here, the first time I came to Malaysia, I messaged Emmy from Tools of the Trade, and he was super nice. He was like, great, come over, like we can hang out. And Sede Set were playing from Japan, and he got me a ride in the car with them on like the second day I was here to go to Termelo. Like this, I'd never even heard of Termelo before. I didn't. And then you're gonna watch a Japanese noise grind band there. So I was super, super excited, even though it was a local show. And I did what we normally do in England, which is I sourced myself like a bottle of spirits from somewhere, got really, really drunk, and sort of like stormed around the place all night. And we saw Rock Gut, we saw Compulsion to Kill, like so many really, we saw a band play a Municipal Waste cover, that was cool. And yeah, before that they'd been kind of like at the airport, like, it just looks like any other country. And then when you're at the show, you're like, all these people like want to hang out with you and want to be your friend. But after the show, like, when I started to sober up a little bit, I kind of looked around and I was like, no one, like people were having a beer, but like no one was getting fucked up, which is kind of very, very common in England. And it was really nice. It's like, it's not about going to a show and partying really hard and getting fucked up and acting like an idiot. It's like people here want to listen to the music and they want to play the music and they want to mosh, and they don't need like alcohol as an excuse to do it, and they don't need a gig as an excuse to just get fucked up. Like they're really serious about it. And instead of everyone going home or like going to a bar afterwards, everyone went out for a meal. And like everyone just drinking coffee or that weird pink drink that you drink over here.
Taytaric?
Yeah. And it was really cool. People were just talking, hanging out, and so that was good. Culturally, I got back to it. And then when I went to Indonesia for the first time, that was nuts. That was crazy. Like going from Vietnam, which, as we talked about, has a very small scene, to Malaysia, which has a great scene, and then to Indonesia, which has an unreal scene. It was ridiculous. So we went to Obscene Extreme Festival, which was something in itself. But like when I went with the Sergeant Hassan guys afterwards to a couple of their shows, and in Bandung, it's like Indonesian, in the UK, like first band plays, half the people will stand outside smoking cigarettes. Second band plays, people might nod their head. And in Bandung, like they played the first note and there's like kids hanging from the rafters, flying through the air, circle pits. crowd surfer. They just went nuts from the gun. They were really, really super psyched on it, and I really liked it. And it's the same in Vietnam as well. Like, a lot of like real genuine enthusiasm for the music. They don't seem to be quite as jaded as some people in Europe.
It was immediate to me going to Malaysian shows. Like, people would immediately start talking to me and like asking me questions, stuff like that.
Especially if you're foreign as
Yeah.
well. And as a foreign guy, like,
That can be a mixed bag. Like, you don't always know why people want to talk to you.
no, there could be there's a multitude of reasons, but as a foreigner, sometimes if you go, especially if you're by yourself, you go somewhere and you feel a little out of place, and then just to have people talk to you and to be interested in what you have to say is fantastic. And yeah, even better if they're into metal, because even if you don't know what to talk about, you can just reel off bands that you like and high five each other, and you've got a best friend for life.
Yeah.
So it's good.
it's something that I ask myself every time I go back to New York. Do you feel your time in Southeast Asia has changed you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been 3 years. So regardless, I mean, how could three years not change you? But I think so. Yeah, I mean, when I was at home, I get kind of frustrated because I just want to leave and I want to travel and then kind of see what's out there. And yeah, I think the more time I spend in Southeast Asia, the more I want to be here. Like the more people you meet and the more new places you find out about. To the extent where I'm kind of worried that I'm maybe never going to travel anywhere else. Like, maybe I'd like to go to India, but you know, why go to India when I can hang out with the guys in Room at Happy and mosh and like go drink some coffee afterwards? It's far more fun.
Why go to India when you're crashing in Bangsar, which has like the largest Indian population in KL?
Oh yeah, precisely. I can just go to the Mamak stall down there and get some curry. It's the same thing.
Yeah, just pretend you're in Kerala. Order some dosa.
No, but I mean, there's lots of places that I want to visit. But this is one of the great things about music. Is like, so recently, in fact, quite a few people I know have been to Malaysia recently. One guy went on his honeymoon. A couple of people just sort of passing through when they're traveling in there. They're not into metal. So the guys that were the guys that wanted to party, they were like, you know, Malaysia's not the best party place because alcohol's expensive and there's not bazillions of bars everywhere. But they really like the nature. And then I know a couple of other people who came to KL, and they were like, why do you always spend so much time in KL? Like, there's nothing here. It's just a city. But there's loads here. You've got Room at Happy. You've got all your friends. There's so much stuff you can do. And if you come somewhere this sounds like a cliche, but if you go somewhere just as a tourist, you can go take a picture of the Twin Towers. Maybe you can go to Little India and have a meal. But when people are actually inviting you into their homes and they want to hang out and you can talk to them, you actually get to understand stuff about a country.
I think you're experiencing the scene here. We both are experiencing the scene here in a time that's very good for it, and I don't think many people realize how special what we have right now is, because it's, you know, there was a time, I remember 10 years ago, where bands would get shut down because the authorities would hear music played very fast and be like, oh, that's black metal, and black metal is anti-Islam, so you guys can't play that.
Yeah.
Or they would see kids wearing black t-shirts and be like, is that a black metal shirt? Come with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't put an inverted crucifix on it. Yeah,
basically. And so, you know, we're at a time where whatever else the government has its dirty little fingers in, at least they're not really messing with the scene right now. I mean, we still have shows that are canceled for reasons that are never properly explained, and things like that. But I think what Mon and Emmy and those guys are doing with Rumapi, it's, you know, it's a little bubble of time, and maybe it'll last, maybe it won't. But like, you know, and it's unfortunate that more bands throughout the region aren't capitalizing on it. Like, I don't know when the last time I saw a Singaporean band come through was. I don't know when the last time I saw an Indonesian band come through was, but it is, you know, if you are from the Philippines, and I know a bunch of people from the Philippines who are listening to this podcast, if you ever thought about playing Malaysia, like, the time is now.
Yeah.
I mean, we like, I can get you a show tomorrow, like, for real. You know what I mean? Like, we can make this happen. And I don't know if that's going to be true, like, 2 years from now. It definitely wasn't true 10 years ago.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like we said before, just go to Room Happy, plug in and play.
Yeah.
Recently, I put some of my friends from the UK, Dry Heaves, in touch with Sinchan and Emmy and people, and like they were overwhelmed, really, because all it was a couple of emails, and like the Malaysian guys worked so hard to set them up a tour. They got them a van, they got them dates, they got them places to stay, they got them tour guides, and they were really kind of overwhelmed by number one, by the hospitality, how nice people are, and number two, by like the enthusiasm as well. Like, what possesses someone you've never met in another country to organize a show for your band for you? Another reason why the best music is the best way to travel.
And yeah, if you're from some bigger scene, like in the UK or in the States or in Europe, and you're tired of like the crossed arms and the cynicism and the kids who don't seem to give a fuck, like save some cash, come here, bring your guitar, you know, bring your drumsticks. That's all you really need.
And
the kids here will flip the
that's
fuck
what I mean.
out.
They're happy. They're really happy to have you. I mean, I know the Dry Heaves guys. They were psyched to come, but I also know like a lot of the Malaysian guys were really, really excited to have them. And I think some Malaysian guys are becoming completely obsessed with fast music, and they know more about the UK scene than I do. So there's a grind band from the UK called the Afternoon Gentlemen. They're like our biggest export. They want them to come so much. Like, every time I come, they're like, message those guys to me, like, force them to come here. We have to see them. So if any of them are listeners, you should definitely get yourself over here.
Is there anything you want to add? Anything you want to say to people from Southeast Asia who are listening to this?
I want to definitely say hi to all my friends in Vietnam. Scene's getting, it kind of slowed down for a little while recently, but it's starting to, the wheels are starting to turn now, and I'm very excited to see how that works out for you. I want to say hi to all my friends in Philippines, especially the Down from the Wound guys. Everybody in Malaysia, I won't name you all because we'll be here for another hour. But, and mostly, just like thank you everyone for making it so easy to live here. You know, without people's hospitality and without people being so nice, I wouldn't know where to live. Having, like you said, having spent 3 years here, the best time ever. Well, now I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
You're going native.
Perhaps.
We're gonna have to get you a sarong.
Just need to choose a country to go native to, which isn't easy because there's too many good bands, too many nice places.
I greet you all in the name of peace, democracy, and freedom for all.